What's up everyone, Andrew Baena here, and on today's video we are going to be taking a look at this new bass guitar from Harley Benton. This is the MSB5 in their Emerald Sparkle finish. This bass comes in a number of different finishes, but obviously I chose Emerald Sparkle because, well, it's green. So you already heard how this bass sounds in a full demo mix in that intro clip there, which was me playing through one of my band Skylimit songs called Designed to Lose. But as for the rest of this video, we're going to talk about the specs and features of this bass guitar. I'm going to show you a few solo tone clips, and last but not least, tell you my thoughts and opinions on this guitar. Also, before we move on, I have to give a massive thank you to Harley Benton and Toman for sending this guitar over to me. This is a sponsored video from them. However, all thoughts and opinions are of course my own still. So first off, let's start with the specs and features. Like I said, this is the MSB5, called a multi-scale bass 5-string, obviously MSB5, there we go. Like I said, this has an Emerald Sparkle finish, which looks actually pretty nice. The sparkles work very well. The sparkles do be sparkling in this. I'm sorry, I just got home from a month-long tour. My brain is still a little fried. You're gonna have to bear with me. As for the rest of the specs, the bass has an Okume body. It apparently has a flame burl maple top, which I think is kind of interesting. I don't really know why they would have put such a fancy top on this if they're just gonna cover it up with this paint job, but hey, let's move on. Moving on to the neck, we have a Canadian maple fretboard with offset dot inlays and glow-in-the-dark side dot inlays. As for the back of the neck, we have a 5-piece neck, which is roasted Canadian maple and Okume stripes. As I mentioned earlier, this is a multi-scale bass, so it has fan frets, and it has 33.3 inches on the top string to 35 inches on the low string. These are also stainless steel frets, which is absolutely awesome given the price point of this bass guitar. Moving back to the body, we have proprietary hardware and proprietary pickups as well. So these are Harley Benton's own pickups, which are just called the HBZ pickups. As for the controls on this bass, we have an active and passive preamp, which you can enable or disable by pulling up the volume knob, which is right there. This knob right here is the pickup control, so you can have it be fully at the bridge, fully at the neck, or anywhere in between. It's nice because it's a blend knob that you can twist, and there's also a little bump in the middle if you want it to be in the middle. It stops you right there. Down here we have the preamp controls, so when the preamp is enabled, these three things control it. So obviously these three controls are bass, middle, and treble, and once again they have a little dip in the middle, so when you're turning the knob, you feel when it gets to the middle point right there, and if you want to leave it like that, it's nice and easy. Only other thing to mention, I guess, is I have not changed the strings on this bass guitar. These are the ones that came with it, and those are 45 to 130 gauge strings. So that pretty much does it in terms of specs and features on this bass guitar. It's pretty highly spec'd given the price point, which at the time of filming this video is just under 300 euros or $450 Canadian, give or take. So yeah, as usual with Harley Benton, a pretty great deal given the specs to price ratio. Stainless steel frets, multi-scale, active preamp, all that stuff coming in for less than 300 euros is pretty crazy. So in the full demo mix you heard at the beginning of this video, I was running this bass in active mode, in drop A tuning, and I was using it through Neural DSP's Parallax X plugin. What I'm going to do now is show you a few different variations of that same tone just by playing around with the onboard controls. So the bass tone is going to stay the same with the Parallax X plugin, and we're just going to move around these controls. So again, play with the pickup blend knob, active or passive, and these three knobs as well, just so you can get a taste of some of the different tones you can make right now. Okay, now that you've heard how it sounds in a full demo mix, you know the specs and features, and you've heard how the bass sounds on its own, last but not least, it's time to talk about my thoughts and opinions on this instrument, of course. So overall, I think this bass is actually pretty awesome, again, especially given the price point of under 300 euros, again, at the time of filming this video. There are a lot of things I do like about this bass, a couple things I don't like, but we're gonna get to all that right now. So things I like, obviously, are value for money. Again, having all these features at such a low price point is truly amazing. I don't really know how Harley Benton can continue to do this. I've been pretty consistently surprised and impressed with their value per price on every instrument, and this is no exception. If you're looking for a solid bass that's very affordable, I would say that this is a really good option. Now, with that being said, I am used to using much more expensive basses than this. Typically, I'm using my Dingwall NG2 series basses, which are like, fuck, I don't know, 4 times the price of this. So this is my first time using a budget bass in quite a while, and again, I was pretty pleasantly surprised overall. The frets feel really nice. The tuning stability is pretty good. I did have to tune up between each take still because it was going a little bit out of tune, but that's not that uncommon. The pickups that are on board are okay. They're definitely not fantastic, but they are pretty good and definitely serviceable for the job that I needed to do, which again is getting that kind of like grindy modern metal bass tone. It did just fine in my opinion. The only 2 things that I didn't love about this instrument are as follows. Number 1, this is going to be a personal preference thing, but having the upper horn be connected to the 12th fret like this, I don't really know what the actual purpose of that is, but I found it to be a little bit uncomfortable. But that's also because I don't have the best technique, and when I play bass, sometimes my thumb likes to creep over this side of the neck, which you're not really supposed to do. So obviously if you're playing that way, your thumb is going to hard stop on that upper horn. Even if you're not playing like I am, like an idiot. On the back of the neck, the body actually extends quite a bit into the neck. You can see here. It kind of goes all along here. So again, when you're playing, you know, as your thumb goes up, if it hits this area, you kind of are forced to go underneath it, which is a little strange. If you're playing bass, chances are you're probably not really trying to use like the 24th fret on the low string. So for most people and purposes, this won't really be an issue, but I did find it a bit odd because as my hand travels up the fretboard, I feel like my thumb hits this point and then I have to like drastically change my hand position just because it's forcing me to do so. So I found that a bit odd, but again, that's up to your playstyle, and for the average person, I would say it's probably not really going to matter because most people probably aren't really playing above the 12th and 13th fret on the bass, I would say on average anyways. The only other thing I noticed that I didn't love about this bass is the lack of sustain. I'm not really sure what's going on, but when I hit like the 7th fret, for example, if you're hitting like an open string, it's no problem and sustains forever, but that same note on the low string, I found that it just didn't sustain quite as long as I hoped it would. I'm wondering if maybe adding a little bit thicker of a string gauge or maybe getting it set up a little bit differently might assist with that, but for now, I just thought that was something worth mentioning. If you're doing long, wrung out notes, it might not sustain quite as long as you would hope it is. Okay, that's gonna do it for this video. Once again, a massive thank you to Harley Benton and Thomann for sponsoring this video. If you are interested in buying this bass guitar or anything else from Harley Benton over at Thomann, there's gonna be an affiliate link in the description and the pinned comment below. Anything you buy using that affiliate link directly helps support my channel as I get a portion of those sales. That's all I have to say for this video. Be sure to stay tuned for more guitar demos, reviews, unboxing videos, all that good stuff coming up on this channel now that I'm finally home from tour and have slept a little bit and recovered. Last but not least, a massive thank you to all my Patreon members whose names are on the screen at this point in time. If you're interested in audio downloads, stems, or shout out on the screen, you can find all that over on my Patreon page, which again is linked in the description below. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.